Hello. Hello, hello. What's going? Hello. I'm Ren. I work at UX is Fine. I'm a technical designer, and I also do a lot of UI, UMG. Do a lot of multiplayer gameplay stuff as well. That's a separate stream, but today we are going to look at Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Got really inspired by this UI and the animation that comes with it. So there's a little bit here. See this nice little spray out. You've also got the gamepad controls shown, and it changes to keyboard and mouse if you interact with the keyboard. So you can see that here. There's also this little extra element that I might just ignore, because really what I want to do today is just do a quick stream, just trying to reproduce something that has that kind of vibe, where it's like this spray of almost diegetic UI, it seems, because it's, yeah, you can see the clip here on the artwork. It is behind the player. It is masked out. And there's a couple of ways that you could do that. You could either potentially use some processing on the materials and have this guy stenciled, and in Unreal you call it a stencil. It's like a buffer that you can check, and you could minus that out. But I think the easiest way to do this, and it feels like it's in the 3D space, it's moving with the camera here, it's moving with the character. So I think the way that we're going to do this is we're going to use UMG components on or in the scene, and there's going to be two major components. There's going to be that left hand one, which has like less animation and less setup, or I might be able to do just one element with some configuration, and then there's the other three that come out, which is just like one element, and we can break it down into various things and try not to break it down too much. So I think that that's a little bit too much, but we'll get the vibe, we'll get that spray, we'll get some UI elements in there. So I've got Unreal Engine open right now, and we need to get started with this. So I've got a third person character template I can run around. I'm gonna probably start with setting up the camera so that when I press, say, just the right click button, it's going to assume that camera position. So let's do that first. Let's just start straight off the bat, just getting a nice camera angle that we like. Okay, so let's come in here, just sorting out my tabs on my other screen. Just make sure I've got all my ducks in a row here. Okay, got some chill out music in the background. And we're just going to get going. We'll see how fast we can do this one. This is the first one, so it might be slower than others in the future, but let's get to it. Okay, so create a new graph. We'll call this prototype obscure. And so we're just going to have right mouse button. And that's going to assume a new camera angle. And it's going to stop our input. So I'm just going to add a camera that we can move to. Might be nicer to do this with a sequencer. You'd have more control. But for the interest of time, I'm going to go ahead and pop in a camera just straight there like that. We're going to give it a little angle just to give it some difference there. So going to change the FOV. Okay, and that camera is the top camera, so it might actually, if I leave that now, it might actually be the first camera. No, we're good. Another thing I've realized is, well, we can toggle the camera, so that's going to be fine. So we can come in here and we can set enabled, or set visibility maybe. This might do it. This is obviously going to be really snappy, but this just proves an idea. See if this is even happening. Yep, it's happening. There is a way to enable and disable these cameras. Let's do a quick Google. Set active. That's what I was looking for. Oh, there we go. I think I typed in activate or deactivate, which isn't the case in this one. So I want this one to be active and sorry, I want this one to be active and the other one to be inactive. Let's try that now. Cool. So obviously the camera's a little bit close. So let's go play with that. Just move it back. That's cool. And as we press that, we'll get something a little bit different. What we actually want to do though is we want to get the camera manager in Unreal's case, which is just going to be the first Clair camera. And we want to blend. Maybe we can get the player controller for this. We want to blend, set view target with blend, new view target. Now the issue with this is it's an actor reference. So this actually isn't going to work. I'm going to cut that camera. I'm going to go create a new camera. So let's make a new folder for all the content that we're going to import. And we'll just call this like episode 1. I'll do. We'll do here, we will actually, yeah, create a new actor. So this actor will be the obscure cam. And in here, it's going to be that camera that we made earlier. I might show 2 ways of doing this. It might be more fun to show different ideas. Okay, so now we've got that camera back. And what we want to do is we want to get the child here. And we're going to blend to it directly. So when we press that, we're going to blend there. When we let's say when we release it, we'll go back to self. And you can pick a time for this. So we're going to say 0.5 seconds will do. And lock the outgoing as well. So now you get this cool. It's a little bit slow. So we're going to say the blend time is 0.2. Cool. So we're heading in and that's when we're going to get all of our UI pop-ups. So now let's start creating some UI for this. First piece. Let's just get something on screen. So user interface, UMG, user widget. I'm going to call this UMG underscore obscure action, I guess. we'll go for starting off with an overlay. I don't like to use canvas panels because they're a little bit more expensive for updating the paint geometry. Just we will actually make it desired, and we'll wrap this with, I think we'll wrap this with a size box so that we have a nice explicit width for this, which would be around that and around that. And things can bleed out over the edge of this, that's fine. And the next thing that we're going to need, I think, is like a text title and an input prompt. So for that, we'll need a horizontal box to house those two things. So we'll stick that full screen across here. And for now, what I'll do is I'll add, we'll add actual inputs in a bit. But right now, it sounds like my music's just decided to get really loud. Okay, so what we'll do for this is we'll make this nice and wide. That's way too wide. We'll go 64, 64, no? 28, 128. Let's make sure that this is a nice number. Let's go, it's too big. Let's just go 100. 80. Okay, so this image is going to be 80 by 80, which isn't perfect for pixel reasons. Let's go 64, 64, and then we'll add like 10 units of padding. Okay, so that, or at least 5 units of padding. What do you want here? There we go. Okay, so that's going to fill that space. We'll get some text in here. Let's name these as well. So this is image, like placeholder button. I'm going to use Common UI to fill this in a bit, and that's the bit that's going to take ages because Common UI is very particular on how it wants to work. So I'm going to do that at the very end. We've got our text block. If we've got any more interesting fonts maybe that we could use. No. So let's go pick a font. Take it from this site maybe. And let's get a nice, what sort of font could we use here? We want some sort of serif. We want some sort of serif font. Fantasy, maybe? Needs to be legible. What's this going to give us? I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's take a moment. Quick review options. I kind of like this. It's a little bit much, but actually, I really like this one. Public domain, sweet. Works for us. Pop that open when it's ready. Do is we can drag that right in here. Would you like to create a font? Yes. Okay, Control-Shift-S to save everything. Got this text block. It's got a font. I'm going to go for Jaro. I'm going to go with 36. So that's what we'll see. We'll just call this like attack. Actually quite difficult to read, but we're going to ignore that. We're just going to move on. Yeah, if I wasn't trying to do this in sort of an hour, I might take a little bit longer picking a font here. which I'm doing anyway, because I'm not happy with that font, and I'm a person that really likes UIs. So I'm not. Okay. What we got? What do we got? Irish. See, that says free for personal use. Can't have that. It's got to be freeware. Just looking at fonts here on a different screen. Let's do it over here again. Type your text here. Attack. Spelled that wrong. That's cool. Again, it's free for personal. Can I filter that out? License type. We want public domain or free. Update. Page not found. Oh great, I've been blocked from free fonts. Okay, free. Fancy. Actually, let's just type in medieval. I like medieval. Shut. It's not super legible. Oh, there's not many pages on this site. Let's go back to the root. Oh, there's actually a theme. Okay. I like this. I'll type in the word that I want. Can't seem to organize this one by free or not. Pretty sure the guys I work with at UX is Fine would probably make their own font. If you look at their website, that's kind of their deal. But I'm a rapid prototyper, so I'm going to pick something that's free to download and hope they don't ship it. And of course, this is just a stream for the idea of rapid prototyping as opposed to actually anything that's going to ever ship anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's just me. Spend a few more minutes on this because I do want to be happy. I want to be happy with the font there. Oh, this stuff is all way too crazy. It's just way too crazy. Alright, let's go for a different one. Let's just go serif, see what it's got. Kind of like this. Yeah, kind of like that, free for personal. God damn it. How do I would like to filter more options. 100% free. Probably done it. Submit. That one. I like that. That works. Cool. Okay, so we're probably going to go with bold. Let's extract all of this. Let's just go straight with bold and only bold. Save everything. That'll do. Right, it's a little bit more legible. Okay. So, looking at the reference image, which I guess isn't that one, it's this one. So yeah, we've got our icon, we've got our horizontal box. We're going to put some graphics in the background, I think. It's got some nice white lines coming off of this part, which is quite cool. I'm going to try and create that with a material. So in order to do that, I'm going to need probably an image in the back here. So on the overlay, we'll do a full-size image. And we will scale that up a little. So it's just a little bit over everything. We're gonna, firstly, we're gonna tint this down, and then I'm gonna go and create a material for this idea. So create a material m_ui_, we'll call it like smear. Change this to the user interface domain. It's going to be translucent. I'm going to get a texture in here, and I'll use some noise. So that's kind of cool. We're going to play with the UVs by multiplying it by a U scale and a V scale. Append these together. This would be 1 by default. So we've got that multiplied. I can go into the UVs. We could then multiply this. I like to just call it M when I'm doing something quick like this. And then I'm going to keep contrast this. C, that will be actually 0 by default. And then we'll plug this into the final color. Actually, the final color is just going to be 1, like white, and we'll color it in post. We get the opacity. So we've got this. Straight off, let's just go like 5. Okay, 1, we'll go 10, 20, 0.1, 0.2. Exactly giving me what I want. So what I'm going to do is actually create a material instance for this and play with that to see what I can get here. All this. Okay. So got this. I want to do something like that, and then I want to do something like this. Scale it up. That's pretty cool. And then the next thing is to just fade it off at the top and bottom, left and right, and just have some controls over that. So the way we can do that, I believe, we can just sign this. Let's preview this node. We'll break this out. Sign the R. We need to 0.5.5 this. Yeah, so now we've got this gradient from left to right. And we can do the same kind of multiply on these. So we'll call this horizontal fade strength. And then we'll call this one fade. What we'll do is we'll just multiply this by that horizontal fade. Stop previewing this. You can see now we've got this left and right, and we can actually play with these fades. What I'll need to do is actually clamp this. Getting some overpowered variables going on. Okay. We'll go with something like that, and then we're going to do the same in the other direction. Multiply it again. There you go. This will be vertical fade. The cool thing with this being a material is we could actually animate like it almost spraying out. Another option would be to actually create this in some sort of art app, which would be a lot cleaner. And okay, I'm going to start organizing this. So this is just vertical fade. This is our horizontal fade. We've got our noise. Create some named reroutes for these. So this is noise. Named reroute for the vertical fade. Named reroute for the horizontal. Then let's say vertical fade, horizontal fade. Then we're gonna wrap all these up. So this is noise multiplier. Use this to a parameter. Call this noise texture. Grab all of these, except for this one, I guess. Give it a group. Noise. We'll also pop this into the same group. Noise. We've got these two variables for horizontal, and we've got these two variables for vertical. Apply everything there, and now when we go and look, we've got horizontal, we've got noise, we've got vertical, we've got everything all wrapped up nicely, all named nicely, and we can play with this. Now the last thing I want to do is actually add to these UVs as well. So we're going to multiply them, but we're also going to add to them. What we could do, we're going to do something similar to this. We're going to call this noise U. It's V. Okay, so that's our material. Let's go and pop that into this UI. Ironically, it's completely invisible. Why is that? I can't even see it. Oh, there it is. It's right in the middle there. Oh, right, yeah, because it's the full image. Right, okay, cool. So let's make this black. Let's go back into our material here. Play with these variables a bit. Why this is coming out grey, I actually am confused. Okay. White. And then this one, black and white. Why is this coming out of grey? There, we're white again now. So Get some contrast. It's a little bit more what we were looking for. Playing with some of the variables here. I'm actually going to scale this up a little bit more. Another thing I noticed as well is it sort of starts off on the left and then it sort of pans to the right. Actually moving these through animation isn't the best thing to do, but I just want to achieve the goal. So animations, new animations, slide. Let's play with the image and make sure that we're naming these as we go. So this is image splat. Save that. Go into our animations, take that image. Oh, okay, it's not going to let me do that. Add. Okay. Click. Animations. Okay, dock it. There we go. Now it's docked. Sweet. Okay, so we're back in it. Let's have a look. So we're going to play with the translation. So we'll add a keyframe for that. And we're just going to slide it on. So and in fact, it's going to fade out towards the end as well. And so one really cool thing we can do with this, if I remember correctly, is we can add the material and then add, and we've got all of our variables here. So another thing that we're going to do is we're going to add or keyframe the actual material properties for the instance of this material. So if we come over here, open this up, and then we can actually slide this as well. So it gives it just a little bit more play. Which isn't perfect, but it's pretty cool. With a proper VFX pass, you could do something better with that, but it's a nice little idea. And then I think as well, probably add fire here. We'll fade it away. Yeah, that's pretty neat. Okay, so that does us for sort of introing that. I want to also play with the position of this. So let's do that. Let's just move it 20 units to the left and keyframe that. Let's move the placeholder, which we'll have to, we're still going to have to replace this. Let's move this also to the left. Okay, and then just zero those out, keyframe them again. So we get like a nice play. What I also want to do is actually have this sort of overextend by maybe 10 units and then come back to rest. So that's a little bit of squash and play. That's a little bit too much. That's pretty cool. So I have a couple of those up here in 3D space. Should be fun. I think now would be a good time to try this out. However, we are kind of missing a general backing for this element. So let's get that in. Let's get another image. This is just going to be called BG, I guess, for background. We don't want noise on this one. Let's have a look at the reference. I think so. Ultimately, the goal is to frame the text. We don't really need to look at the reference and copy it in any way. We just need to make sure that we've got something in here that is going to give us a nice frame. So I do have Photoshop, so let's pop that open. Let's create, I can't remember exactly what we used for the values of the size of this. Okay, so yeah, 480 by 80. Let's just go, let's just pick some numbers. So we'll go 256 by 64. Yeah, that'll do. Okay. Yes, convert to a normal layer. This one. Can this thing go away? Okay, so first we want this to be black. I kind of want to chop into this. So if I could play with some brushes. Yeah, something like this. Just, no, I needed to. Okay, I can't brush erase, okay? So I'm just gonna do something. I wish I could stretch this as well. But everything is stuck to my mouse. Okay. That will do. Can I get a full screen here? It's not the ugliest thing, but it's fine. New layer. Let's go color overlay on this. Okay, so go something like that. I've got some through here. New layer. Let's put the box. We really want to change this. We really want to change. I really want to mask this up. Okay, let's actually just add a mask then. Oops. A mask on this. Oops. Something going on here. Oh, I've accidentally colored it in. Boom, 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 boom. I like it. It's kind of cool. Ooh. I wish this thing would go away. It just keeps messing with my bloody mouse. What is this? Hide the bar. Cool. Thank you. That's a fun little border. Okay. Let's stick this on a black background just to double check everything. I do want to erase a bit more of this. Okay, so we'll save that. So PNG. Okay, so in here we'll import that. Where did I save it? Here. Be good. Do not be black. It's colored. That's pretty neat. Got my what's fits over here. Drink. Okay, let's actually get this in the 3D view. I'm going to play with this a little bit. We've got some nasty white going on. Well, it adds to the effect, I suppose, but not 100% a fan. Let's go user interface. That didn't do it. I always forget which properties we need to solve for that white, or if it's an arc curation. Because yeah, sometimes you have to do something with the number of channels that you have. It's a bummer. I hate having to mess with this. Oh yeah, I guess even worse. Yeah. Oh, I'm not going to stress too much on it for now. Okay, so well, one more thing I need to do is when this starts, I need to play an animation, and it needs to play the intro slide. So that's cool. Okay, so third person, back to the third person character. Let's get back to where we were. So we were here. That's where we'd got to. And let's play one more time with that. Where's it gone? There it is. So now we need a couple of widget components. They need to sit just behind the character. So let's just add one. Widget component. We're going to draw this in world space. It's going to be our cool action UI. It's going to be drawn at desired size, rotated the other way. It's a little bit out of scale, so let's go 0.5. It's still pretty massive. Pick 1 here. We'll add some delays off of this shortly after as well. One thing I've realized as well, we can't do the thing where you bleed elements off of this widget component because it's only rendered to that plane. So I do need to redesign how I've done that. Okay, next step, redesign that whole widget because it all needs to sit within the borders of this here. So let's fix that. We're going, say, 640 wide. We're going maybe so we get the overlay. If I'd have curated this properly to begin with, it would be a lot easier right now. So all my properties are broken. Let's move this. I hate that about this thing. Okay, no, you just need to be. Let me see it. It starts like that. Transform is -170. Okay, now I can see it. Okay. We're going to center align this and up the X. I really shouldn't play with scale at all because it's not helping. It's not going to draw correctly. It's always going to be, yeah, just to review it so I can explain it better, is like that is a plane and we are rendering a UMG to it, so nothing can exist outside of that plane, which means all of our animation needs to be within this dotted line, which means I need to redesign the whole blinking thing. So what if I get rid of that? Add the padding that I need. Let's just go crazy values. Okay. Now I've got a bar that has everything I needed, and then we'll give a little bit of padding to the top and bottom of that. We could always bring those numbers in. I'll play the animation. Yeah, cool. It needs to go way. That splat needs to be way more effective. I could actually do it with a particle system like a Niagara or something. Might fit well. It would be a lot better. But we're doing it this way. so that's it. Let's extend the time of some of these animations here. It's this noise multiplier that's really messing with me, so I'm just going to move that. Yeah, cool. And then just extend this out so we can still get the spray. Doesn't feel as snappy anymore. One of the issues, I suppose, is that this is not... Whoa. Why is that doing that? I think I know why. This is not center aligned. There we go. Keep that in there. Alrighty, so what we're looking at right now, if I extend this image, it messes with some, well, it messes with the centralization of everything. Oh, everything should be left aligned. Right? No. Center aligned. Where's my grid gone? There we go. This thing still has scaling on it, which I don't want anymore. Not the text block, the big splat in the background has like a scale value to it, which I just don't need. Cool, that's better. We're back in something there. Yeah, this fall off needs to just be a little bit nicer. That'll do. Bring all this back in. Okay, then we've got the issue. This is not in the right place anymore. That's fine. We'll just move it. Cool. What I need to actually do as well is custom event. We'll just do play anim, which we'll do an event construct. Actually, no, sorry. No, construct is fine. What I need to do is not have those widgets drawn until I press the right click button. So that's the problem with this. Oh yeah, now we're looking. Now we're cooking. That looks way better. Cool. Play with these angles unsnapped. Hey, well, there's people filling in now, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, everything's moved, so we're going to just pull this over to the right bit. Okay, sweet. Okay, next up is when we press that right-click button, we need to actually fill these widgets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kill the widgets that's actually in it, which I was only using for previz to know that we're in the right place. I'm going to grab all three of these, make an array. I'm going to create a widget. I wonder what happens if I just create one and add it to all three. I wonder if it just moves it between, only appears in the last one basically. So it's like adding it to a viewport. You only have one widget and you're moving it around, so we'll see. So we'll create one widget and then we'll set the widget of each of these to this. And what I noticed actually in the reference was when you pick an action, it actually just disappears. So what we're going to do is we're just going to set that widget to nothing when you let go. We can do with a general fade in. Also, you can't see the buttons. So let's. There's two ways we could fix it. We could probably easier to fix it in here for now. Move it to the right. Can't see the keybinds. Still can't see the keybinds. These actual numbers. Bam! It bugs me that that top one is not. I love that I'm also tilting my head back after I tilted the camera to give it. Okay, so let's, there's an issue. Well, there's an issue. There's a bunch of issues. One of the issues is that this widget 3D pass-through masked is not translucent. Okay, not going to let me pick a material. Engine content, I guess, plugin content. Yeah, thank you. I'm good. widget pass through. We want translucent, so maybe that's the one. There we go. This feels a lot nicer. And then the next one is I kind of want it to. I want top bottom mid or middle top bottom. I want it to be like come out at different speeds. So we can do that by. Oh, there's two things I want to do. I want them to come out at different speeds, and I want them to also have some opacity fade in there. Because I think, at least in particular for this element, it's a little overbearing at the beginning. So we'll actually fade. What did I do? What did I do? Noise multi. Yeah, let's put that there. That fades in. I kind of want to fade this background in as well. So let's bring the render opacity of this down. Just fade that in. Okay, so that was one thing. The other thing that I want to do. Oh, that's interesting. The other thing that I want to do is instead of. Oh, and by the way, yeah, turns out you can add the widget 3 times. Who knew? I guess what set widget does is it just pulls the texture and puts it on the UVs, which means you can just do it with 1. We are going to need 3 because they're going to have different words, they're going to have different keybinds. We'll worry about that later. What I want to do right now is just a very simple. Instead of a for each loop, I'm just going to do a very simple. Like delay base. Okay, so we got in an actual production as well. I would generate all of these things based on data, so that you could have 4 or 5. You could have and it would determine exactly where it would go. But for a quick prototype, we'll go top, middle, bottom. That'd be fine. So one of the things about the top one that I mentioned as well was it just needed to go to the right a little bit because it bugged me. There we go. And then we go top, middle, bottom. I'm going to do the middle one first. Then we're going to delay by. Doesn't even need to be much. We're going to do. Yeah, we're going to do the top. Get some reroute nodes in here. Cool. There's a little delay here. Okay. Cooking. I think we're almost there. We just need to add the common UI. Yeah, it's kind of ugly. What really needs to happen. Okay, maybe the first way was better. Let's go back. I think they all need to appear at the same time, but they need to animate like slightly, maybe just slightly different rates. Means I'm going to create 1 per item. I'm going to create a new one each time. What we're going to do is we're going to add some properties to this. I also lost all the names, so that was fun. Probably also, yeah. Keep those names, please. I'll do, right. What I'm going to do is add an exposed variable to this widget, which means that I can control it from outside. So we'll call this like delay, or we're going to do, we'll do rate. So that's the rate. It comes in, it's exposed, hit that eye, you expose it on spawn, and now we can play with the play rate, which by default is going to be ×1 speed. Whoops. ×1 times, don't crash. That's nicely. Okay, so we have a rate that's 1 by default. Just go random range. Screw it. Random range. And the floating range, it's going to be 0.9 to 1.1. See how that feels. No. Or it doesn't. Give it there. A really specific number. 0.1335, please. Because see, sometimes they sort of, it's that nice little bounce at different rates that feels nice to me. That's cool. Another thing that I'm not super duper keen on is that each of those sprays looks like almost identical. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump into this and just create three different variants of it. And the way I'm going to do that is by adding to the V to just move it a bit on each of those. Material that we made earlier, cool. And maybe even, yeah, let's just do a little bit of, let's just shift it. Let's shift this one to the right a bit, maybe. Okay, now, yeah, the next thing is to apply that material to the splat. So that is a variable. Let's go and set from material, set brush from material. That material will be another property, material, that will be exposed because we've got something controlling it. Just refresh this, select off this, plug it into here, and then we've got, what do we call it, smear? So smear inst 1, 2. What you could do to make this even better, actually, let's just create a quick little mats array. Call it material interface. Right click that to make it a array. Plug all 3 of these in here. So that adds a little bit more variation again, just makes it feel nice for demo purposes. So what we do is we actually shuffle this before we use it. We're going to shuffle it. We're then going to get, element 0, and that's the material. And then after we've done that, we're going to remove index 0. So we just roll the dice, cut the one off that we use, and then we just use them in order. So that's cool. Oh, I didn't like that time. Oh, because the array is empty. Let's turn this into a function. That way we can use local variables. So collapse this to a function. Init widgets, I guess, is a fine function for now. Right, we're going to promote this to a local variable and to use lowercase I or lowercase l for local. It's imats. Sounds like something from Foxhole. It's my imats. Okay, so we shuffle the imats and we use it from the imats, and then we remove from the imats. This way we're not going to lose the material every time. All right, so we've got 3 of those going now, so that's pretty sweet. Attack, attack, attack. Let's set up some common UI. So, all right. Common UI is pain in the butt. Let's do it. Save everything. Just one more look. It's pretty neat. And then you can just like, I'm gonna go over here. Could you imagine an action game where you're like, you mid and then slow down time? Let's try that. I'm gonna mess with that quickly. So we'll set the time dilation. Set global dilation. So instead of like a turn-based game, it's like you actually do this in real time to access your skills. And then when we're done, we'll turn it back to 1 times speed. And then you press a button, it does something. That'd be super cool. Cool little action game with like, anyway. Okay, so Common UI. I enabled the plugin already, but there's a bunch of project settings and other setup to do. This is the boring bit now. I would say we sort of succeeded at doing Clair Obscur style UI-ish, and enough to iterate and get an artist on board. So now we're going to do technical stuff. We're going to use enhanced input for the actions, and then we're going to display the buttons for that, and then I'm going to actually hook it up to my gamepad so we can have a look at if you change input method that it actually updates. Okay, so common input settings. Firstly, input data. Let's create one of those. Let's create one. Okay. Let's not create one of those. Right off the bat. Common UI is not fun to work with. That like click that add button to create. It just doesn't work. Okay, new folder for this input. There's going to be a whole bunch of data for this. Okay, so first we're going to need an IMC. So input mapping context, which is for that IMC obscure. Let's go for an input. Let's just create a couple of input actions as well. So we'll do like IA attack. We'll do input like IA items, I guess. I haven't actually played the game, by the way, so I'm not trying to copy them. I'm just thinking of Final Fantasy right now, like IA, like it's got summons, summon something, and we only have 3, so that's fine. Add those in here. Let's move this guy out of the way. 1 attack, items, summons. Let's give these some keys. So I'm moving with WASD. I'm going to use Q, E, and R, and then I'm going to add gamepad inputs as well. Let's connect to my gamepad. I'm going to need to set up everything on the gamepad. I've just realized. It's fine. We'll just do the easy bit. Okay, so for this we'll go X, Y, B. That's the input bit. Let's make sure that this is actually applied on begin play. Add another mapping context here. Looks like we actually will be able to run around with gamepad. Just ignore that. Okay, don't ignore that. It's not going to work. Add obscure to, come on, this system. Oh yeah, cool. So I just actually, the only thing I need to do is set up that right mouse button that I did right at the beginning of the video as an action. I've got these tiny windows going on now. Okay, so this input action, IA, I'm just going to call it demo. So this is the demo button. Demo. We got right mouse button was what we were using on keyboard, and for gamepad we'll use left trigger. All right, let's check that that's working. Oh, it's not going to work because I didn't change. Anyone here is a programmer? Yeah, you always write it, right? And then you never actually run it. That's always the case. So released, complete. That's how we use the input actions over the old school actions. So it's just run around. It's really annoying me. Yeah, that's cool. So yeah, playing on gamepad now. Awesome. Woo. Next up, don't lose any speed. Let's just keep going fast. 1, 2, 3. We're just going to get rid of a bunch of stuff. I don't really need to play. Actually, I do need to play with this soon, so I'm going to leave that UMG open. The obscure cam, don't need that right now. Okay. So we did the first bit. Input data. Create blueprint class. All classes like input data. I might be totally wrong. It might be a data asset, but we're just going to go common input data here. Just to double check what's in here. Close it. Reopen it. I remember now it comes up as a proper little thing. Yeah, cool. We got default actions, default hold data. Okay. Then we're going to need a data table. I might have to open a tutorial for this because this is going to take me the ages. This is a project setting, so I might actually generalize this at some point. Okay, so where are we at? We've got the input data there. We've got the platform input. We need to change Windows, default, mouse and keyboard. That's fine. We'll actually go for Gamepad. I'm going to call it Windows, I think. Yes. We could call it generic. Let's call it generic. Controller data. Yeah, can I add that? No. Let's go create some controller data. Again, I think it's blueprint class. It's like controller data. Common input based controller data. Cool. So we'll do CD for controller data. We'll do KB. We'll do CD underscore GP for gamepad, I guess. So we've got two of those. We'll plug those in. Gamepad, keyboard. Okay, so for gamepad, input type is gamepad. Generic. We'll just use the generic word everywhere. Platform name generic. Controller text don't have one. This one. Input brush data map. Input. Yeah. So I'm going to actually import an asset pack now because I need input prompts and I'm not going to go and import them myself. So prompt. I'll just add that to the UI stream. So those will be coming in, and I'll start adding these. So I think it's brush data map. Yeah, cool. So X, Y, B. We'll hook that up in a second. In the meantime, we'll go set up the keyboard one. Close it, reopen it. Now we have it as a normal thing. Mouse and keyboard, cool. Guess it's just going to be generic. 1, 2, 3. And we had QE and R, right? So QE, R. Those assets should be imported already now. So if I go key dark Q. Yeah, so we've got Q, key dark E. Damn it. I right clicked. E. Put that in there. E dark. Oh. That didn't work again. Find it. It is. Okay, QER, that's cool. All right, back to here. We got. Where did my data go? Am I crazy? Crazy? I saw me put this in, right? I'm actually just going to open this and go. So that's keyboard and mouse. We're just going to go Xbox Gamepad. We're going to go default. Yeah, cool. X. Base button bottom. That's base button top, sorry. What am I talking about? What am I talking about? Okay, and then we got base button right, which is B. Okay. Ideally, in an ideal world, none of that will have been lost again. So if I go and open this guy, yeah, we've still got QER, so that's good. I'll go and open the other one. We actually keep my inputs this time, yeah, cool. Okay. So back in the I'm gonna close a bunch of other windows down here. Okay, so back in here, we've set those up. That's cool. We want to enable enhanced input support. I'm going to need to restart the project in a moment, but I'm going to look at some other bits related to common UI. So let's go common. Let's go input. There's like another, yes, we've got enhanced input. That's cool. Yeah. There's another drop down somewhere, and I never remember where it is. And it's the one I need. Here we go. Framework. No. Nope. Defaults. Yeah, like I say, this is the fun bit. Let's restart. I'm going to bring up a tutorial. On common UI. So common UI enhance. Was it this guy I was watching? Yeah, it was this guy I was watching. So he does a 36-minute video. I'm just going to flick through it. Set the input data. There, game viewport client needs to be the common UI. Game viewport client. You watch it, ask me to restart again. Yeah, sure, restart. How's everyone doing? There's a bunch of people watching. And I don't know if the chat just doesn't update, or if there is no chat, or if chat is disabled. You just sat there watching. I would love to ask a question. An input device has been connected. Yes, it has. Okay. Okay, so now that's set up. Let's just test that everything works again. Cool. Still got input control. Run around with my main character. Whoa. Yeah, that was weird that turning the one stick turns. I suppose it does. And I'm locked into a camera that's actually attached to the character, so it makes sense. Okay, so yeah, just one more. The fact that I slowed it down actually has slowed down all the animations a little. Or has it? No, I don't think it has. Okay. So yeah, the bit that I'm going to do now is those three white boxes, they're going to become inputs, and the actual words will change those as well. So let's go back here, back to our widget. Let's set the text. So this text here, we'll call it TB action. It's a variable. We'll come in here. We'll set the text on that. Promote this. We'll call it attack, but then we'll promote it to a variable. Action text. What that means now in our character. Control P. Third person VP. Let's go. In our obscure graph, in our init widgets, we'll actually have, if we refresh this, oh, did I not expose it? All right, yeah, expose it. And now in here, when we refresh this, we'll get this, we'll select off this. Typically I would like use string tables and things so that we can localize this work, but I'm not going to worry too much. I'm going to use the int here. We're just going to use attack. What did we say? Attack items. We also said summons or something. So a little bit of Final Fantasy reference. Okay, so now, oh, of course, yeah, and they're in a weird order, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. Also, changing the length of the text changes the position. It needs to be anchored. Yeah, so I need to do some work here because I need to do work. Ugh. I need to do some work because this is center aligned. When this changes, it changes where this is actually anchored, which means it needs to be anchored from the left, and it needs to just have like some huge offset. So let's go with that. It's not enough of an offset, so. Oh. So we're back to, we've solved that problem. Solving problems. Okay. Where were we? We were going to implement the input actions. So this now becomes common action, which is not where you get it. Common action. It is a, I think it's this one. So I'm just going to put it in there. I'm just going to use attack for now to see if that actually comes up. Okay, so theoretically it's kind of working, so that's kind of cool. What we can do is we can actually go back to our input assets here, edit those, type image size, expand all of these. We're going to go 64 by 64. That is a little bit nicer. Cool. Yeah, so that feels a bit better. I can get rid of this because we don't need that now. Although we complained about something. And then, yeah, if I'm using the mouse and keyboard, it's that. If I'm using the other thing, it's that. And then we just need to set the inputs. So we'll grab this, say, set input action. I think it's the input action. Enhanced input action. It's attack by default, promoter a variable as again. So we just have like a generic thing that we can edit. 1, 2, 3, back to our character. One thing I need to do is set save and compile to only success. It's just like one of the things I like to do. Intro slide is trying to animate a non-existing image. Actually, yeah. So we go back to animations. It's complaining that this doesn't exist. With my new common action selected, I'm going to replace that. And so now when it animates, it will animate that instead, which is cool. So retain the animation. So placeholder, and then replace the placeholder, which is good. Fairly seamlessly. We've got the input action, so we're going to select on that. Select on that, cool. I'm going to use the input again. Add here, we've got attack, items, summons. Okay, let's go play. Got EQ and R, so we can do any of those. We've also got Gamepad for this, so although while we're jumping it's a little bit iffy. But that's cool. Y, X, B, do one of those three things, and then you can obviously, it's a gameplay action. So this is just UI speaking with other stuff. Hey Shabam. I'm actually done. I'm actually done now. So if anyone has any questions, now's the time, because as a light idea of an episode of Can I Make This UI? I mean, you guys tell me if I did or not. I feel good about it. I should stop moving really, because it's way better when it's just like. Feels really odd now with the speed. I would like the speed of that camera to be improved. My name, yes, I'm Ren Farnow. I work at uxisfine.com. You can subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out, because my job right now is to make this kind of content to find talent and to find people in the industry who are interested in working with us. So if anyone who's watching, please do subscribe. You would be the first subscribers from my efforts in doing this work. So, and I'm going to be doing it every morning. It's almost lunchtime here. Ah, thanks, man. I'm glad it looks clean. Not too many classes either. So that's the main thing that I like to do, is just the bare minimum. Let's not go too heavy on it. So on here, we had some fonts that we didn't use. I might get rid of those. Didn't use those fonts. This I would replace with artist-driven work. These material-driven way of doing this noise. I did generate some, but I appreciate not everyone likes image generation technology, so I didn't use those. But I did generate some, and they were pretty cool. Felt like doing it through a material was a bit nicer. Yeah, UI UX is one of the things that I've primarily focused on. So I like to say I'm a master of everything in Unreal, but I'm a jack of everything in Unreal, but I'm a master of like UI, like something that I can do very quickly without really necessarily needing to go online and look at too much. There was one thing there that I forgot, which was the game viewport part, but that we quickly solved that by looking at a great video. Yeah, so I do everything from animations to blueprints, gameplay, multiplayer games. I've got a couple of released games. One's called Guards, one's called Exfil. I've worked on Starship Troopers Extermination as the lead designer and technical lead of that project. I've worked on Squad, which is a 100-player multiplayer FPS, and I've built UI on all those projects. So, and I've built gameplay systems for multiplayer up to 100-player games in those projects as well. So that's kind of my history. I really like it. I really think that Expedition 33's UI is it's a standout example of something with thought put behind it, with style, right? It's got flavor. It's just so many games these days are safe and they keep things simple. Almost feels like an afterthought, but really your UI it's the contract between the player and the game, and so it's the thing that you're always going to be observing. And so in Clair Obscur, just having both, like it being artistically driven and then also just like creatively displayed, like in real space, or the various other things that they do with it. I really like it. I think I'm really passionate about that. I really do respect it. We do subcontract, yeah. No, it's good to know. So I mean, it's a network, right? So subscribe, like message us through that. I'm going to be setting up a Discord and some other things in the future to help build this network. But the best thing you can do right now, if you want to keep in touch, is subscribe. Message us through there, or through comments on these sorts of videos as well. So I have a good question for you as you're chatting is, and anyone else here, if you have a game that you like the UI of, similarly to this game, and you want to see me, can I make that on stream? Please pop a comment in there, because it basically set me up for the next episode, right? I'm currently like, I really like the UI from Shield Hero TV series I'm watching. It's like an anime. He has a shield and it pops up with like a grid of all these abilities that he unlocks throughout the story. Super cool little UI. That was going to be my next one. Yeah, cheers. I'd love to have some regulars to chat with. It'd be really nice. Yeah, UI is the contract between the player and the game, and the way that you understand and interface with it. So it's like one of the most important parts of game dev. Yeah, we always leave it so far to the end sometimes. Same with tutorials. Like, tutorials are a UX thing, We always leave it to the end. I like to develop prototypes for games and things. As soon as I've got a core loop, I'm like, right, we're building the tutorial first. And every time we add something new, we're adding to the tutorial. We're getting people to play the tutorial. I've been in enough games. Tutorial comes last. Yeah, tutorial just comes right at the end. It's always funny to see. It's like, oh yeah, we spent so long making this game, we forgot to teach people how to play it. We know how to play it. At that point, you're also just so franchised in how it works that you can't separate from it. Yeah, it's a real funny one. That's cool. I'm gonna take a little screenshot. Oh yeah, one thing I want to do. I want to speed up this animation quickly. That time dilation. The time dilation messes with this speed here, so I need to like reduce this to like 0.5. We need to get in there a lot faster. The thing I don't like as well is those hard edges. I might go and actually edit the art a bit. Let's get rid of some of these hard edges. I do want to play it. Obviously, I have a massive backlog of games right now. I think a lot of JRPGs actually. So I do like JRPGs, and I've heard a lot of good things about it. And there's a couple of guys at the studio who play it and really recommend it highly as well. Why is that not working? Yeah, I do want to play Obscur. It looks like the kind of game I would enjoy. I do enjoy a good adventure. It's just finding the time. I should really have a couple of variants of this UI. I think is another thing I'm realizing as I paint this out. It's like just one is. Oh. Anyway, it's just a demo, so that's all good. Let's play with that. How do I get back to my project here? Get rid of that, open this. We're going to import the old one. I'm going to play with the texture group settings again. So we'll go with simple average UI. Go with there. Get that into our UMG. About some sort of graphic issues going on in there that I need to figure out. Yakuza games, I haven't played them. I haven't played the Yakuza games. Yeah, I worked on shooter games for a long time. Military shooter games, so not necessarily like crime. Yakuza and GTA and stuff I played when I was younger. And more lately I moved away from the UK, so I lived in the countryside, and so I think there's this love for me of fantasy worlds and fantasy games. And so anything with green in. I actually spent a while looking on Steam. I was like, I just want to play a game that has grass. In the absence of touching grass at scale, like with countryside and rivers and stuff. So these JRPGs and these open worlds were sort of just a calling for that. Yeah, so Yakuza does not interest me because it's gritty crime stuff. And I worked on, for 10 years, I've worked on military shooters where it's like, why can't we just have nice things? Yeah, why can't we have nice things? So yeah, I've been playing Zelda Breath of the Wild with my son recently. He's absolutely crap at it, but I'm just like, take your time. I love the world. Take your time, learn the ropes. He spent ages without a weapon, just dying to bokoblins in the plateau. It was just fun to watch. Also learn a bit about UX while watching someone play. Okay, so I gotta call this. It's lunchtime for me now. I do have to call it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for chatting. It was really cool to see you guys. Final Fantasy fan? Yeah, I am, yeah. Nier Automata I also liked. Yes, I just saw that message. I did like play about 10 hours of that game. And I think that was another example of UI that I really enjoyed. Yeah, cool. It'll be every morning around 9 to 10 a.m. PST. Every morning is the plan. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then in the afternoons, we're going to have some podcasts as well. So there'll be like podcasts with guests. This afternoon, I might do another stream on UI, or I might cut these into shorts or something to try and get some more people to come in and make suggestions and see what we're doing. But yeah, one last look. Cool thing. And then like a little bit on the gamepad. Pretty cool. Put my sound effects in. All right. Take it easy, everyone. Thanks for joining.